The technology means it could have happened. People are smart enough to know it could have happened. The technology, the AI will do that in the future. It's possible, but it didn't happen. And I'm here to talk to you about the reason why today. I want to dive right in, and I want to tell you about an experience that I had around 5 years ago. And I was traveling on a plane from New York to LA. How many of you have been to LA? Raise your hands. How many of you like LA? Make some noise. All right. So if I asked that in America, everyone would say the opposite. And my prayers are with my people in LA right now because of all the sad fires and tragic events that are happening there. But on this day 5 years ago, I was traveling to LA. And while I was traveling, I sent a tweet, or an X now, right? But back then it was a tweet. So I took out my phone and I sent a tweet. And the tweet said, I really, really hope I can get a reservation at my favorite pizza place. Anyone like pizza? Yeah? And then I said, I really, really hope I can get tickets to an LA Lakers game tonight because I love basketball. Anyone else love basketball? So I tagged in all of these things, tagged in the airline, tagged in the tourism, tagged everything, got on the plane, fell asleep, had a really peaceful journey, got off at the other side, grabbed my bags, jumped into an Uber. I was taken off to my hotel, arrived at the hotel. When I got to the hotel, I was greeted by the concierge, and they said, hi, Mr. Shetty, it's great to have you here. And they said, you know what? We actually saw your tweet. I said, amazing. And they said, we managed to get you a reservation at your favorite pizza place. It's at 7 p.m. And we even managed to get you tickets to the LA Lakers game. They're sitting upstairs in your room. Pretty cool, right? Now that didn't really happen. But imagine if it did, right? It could have happened, it should have happened, but it didn't happen. Why? The technology means it could have happened. People are smart enough to know it could have happened. The technology, the AI will do that in the future. It's possible, but it didn't happen. And I'm here to talk to you about the reason why today. The reason is because when we get overwhelmed, overworked, overconnected, we actually become less mindful. We become less conscious. We become less present. We become less focused and still, and we miss out on opportunities and possibilities that otherwise we would have noticed. When I first thought about creating content around 10 years ago now, I remember I went and pitched my idea for a video series to 10 media companies in London. And they all told me that I was too unqualified. So I started making videos anyway. A few years later, I wanted to launch my podcast. And everyone said to me, Jay, no one wants to listen to you for longer than 4 minutes. So we launched a podcast anyway. A few years later, I wanted to write a book. I wanted to share the lessons and the teachings that I'd learned from ancient India, ancient wisdom in a book called Think Like a Monk. And 14 out of 17 publishers told me, Jay, no one wants to have to read what you have to say. Don't call it Think Like a Monk. No one wants to think like a monk. So we wrote a book anyway. And it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. I sit in countless meetings, boardrooms, events, across tables from people who constantly tell me I shouldn't do something, I can't do something, it's a bad idea. How many of you, raise your hands, make some noise, have been in that same position? Make some noise, right? It happens to each and every one of us. And I used to believe there'd be a day when I no longer had to jump through that hoop. And what I've realized is that there's always another hoop. Every single time there's another thing, another piece of feedback, another insight. And you have to do what you do anyway. And that's why when we're talking about stats and we're talking about growth and we're talking about virality, the real heart of a creator is a resilient heart. The number one skill that has changed my creator journey is resilience. Because the amount of times I've heard the word no completely eclipses the amount of times I've heard the word yes. The amount of doors I've had shut on my face completely eclipses the amount of doors that I've opened. And no matter how much success you see on the outside, I promise you there's far more failures on the inside. And the odds are always in that proportion. I want to share these 3 stats with you. The first is 54% of individuals aged 18 to 60 would consider leaving their current jobs to become full-time influencers. How many of you already left your full-time job? Raise your hands. I love it. Congratulations. And how many of you are trying to do that? Raise your hands. Congratulations. You're going to do it this year, right? This year. This is what we all want, right? 54% of people right now are in the zone wanting to do this. But check out these next 2 stats. Approximately 90% of podcasts don't release more than 3 episodes. That means if you released 4 episodes, you're in the top 10% of podcasters. Just think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second, right? 90% of podcasts don't release more than 3 episodes because of significant drop-off in the early production process. The stress, the pace, the challenge, everything that comes with it. So if any of you have started a podcast, how many of you got to 4 episodes on a podcast? Yeah, give yourself some round of applause. That's amazing. It's incredible. I mean that. You got to celebrate these little wins. It may sound really silly and small to you, but I promise you it's not, because 90% of people didn't even get there. So just think about that as a mountain. Think about that as a mountain. If you got to a place on a mountain that 90% didn't get to, would that be a success or a failure? It would be a success. But when we do it in content, we don't think about it like that. So I want you to celebrate that small win, because I know I had to as well when I started. And then check this out. 80% of influencers never make it past their first year due to burnout or their inability to sustain engagement. And I'll tell you an interesting story. I had some of the opposite experience. After our first few videos of mine hit virality, I was scared of creating my next video because I was scared it wouldn't go viral. So just think about that for a second. When you're failing, you're wondering about when you're going to become successful. And when you're successful, you're wondering about when the next one's going to fail. So resilience is so critical, whether you're winning or losing. I want you to recognize this is a creator's muscle. This is the value that we have to offer. This is the muscle that we need to build, because you're going to have different stresses either way, right? So right now, you're waiting for that big win, that hit, the one thing that's going to get you out there, and that makes you anxious. And then when you finally have it, you'll be thinking, gosh, what if my next video crashes? What if it only gets 2 views? What's going to happen then? I want to show you a graph. This is creator 1, the creator that we want to be. And this is creator 2, the one we don't want to be. Creator 1 does something consistently, even seeing no results, and finally gets a breakthrough. If I told you the amount of creators I know that have posted daily for 2 years and found success on that 24-month mark, it's incredible. But the challenge most of us have is we do what Creator 2 does. We post for a week, didn't work, we take a break. 3 months later, we post for 2 weeks, didn't work, we take a break. 7 months later, we come back to it, we post it for a week, and then we quit again. That consistency is based on resilience. So today I want to give you some tips, some practical tools, some hacks that are going to help you create more, be more productive, be more impactful, and really make a difference. Sound good? Yes. Awesome. So the 3 biggest challenges to our resilience, right? The 3 biggest challenges. The first is people's opinions. That weighs on your resilience more than anything else ever will. I remember when I made my first video, my friends all said, Jay, you talk too fast, the editing is horrendous, the music's too loud, and no one's gonna watch this. That's what my friend said. So I started to speak slower, I taught myself how to edit, and I got the music to sit just right. A few months later, and my friend just reminded me to this today, a few months later, my friends were saying, Jay, you talk too slow. Your voice is too loud, the music's too loud. It was just crazy. It was incredible. Every few months, the people around me were saying different things. I remember we had one breakthrough, and my friend said to me, Jay, this is going to be the peak of your career. This is it. I remember when we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and my friend said to me, you got to make the most of it, man. It's over now, right? I'm not kidding. This is exactly what people said. So why am I sharing this with you? Because I'm sure you've heard the same things. I'm sure you've heard similar things. I'm sure you've even had your friends show you the person you like and be like, look how good they're doing. They started posting on the same day as you. You're like, that doesn't make me feel bad, guys. Like, I'm struggling out here, you know? I'm just trying to get out there. So why am I sharing that with you? People will judge you. People will have opinions. People will talk about you to other people. They're going to do that anyway. If you don't put something out, they're going to say you're lazy. If you put something out, they're going to say you're cringe. If you don't put something out, they're going to say you haven't got it in you. If you put something out, they're going to say you're not as good as that next person. If you don't put something out, they're going to say you weren't made for this life. And if you put something out, they're going to say you weren't made for number one. People are going to talk no matter what. So how do we build resilience to that? We build resilience by creating what I call a wise group of advisors, a wise council. Now, this doesn't have to be people you know in person. It could be online. Who are the 3 people you listen most to about what we're talking about? There's a famous quote that says, don't take directions from someone who hasn't been to where you're going. Right, think about that for a second. So many of us are taking directions from someone who has not been to where we want to go. If you're about to fly to Bali and take a vacation, why would you ever ask someone who's never been to Bali? Whereas we're asking our friends and family members and the people around us who've never been to that side, they don't know what it feels like to create, and we're taking their feedback as reality for ourselves. So ask yourself, who are the 3 people I trust in my niche, in my space? Personally, if I know them, it's incredible. If I don't know them, who are the people online that I turn to, that I value their opinion? And let me make sure that I understand their thesis and their hypothesis so deeply that when I hear all these random things from everyone else around me, I'm not just distracted by it. I'm not just wavered by it. I'm not just swayed by it, because I'm trusting the experts. I'm trusting the people who've actually been to where I want to go. I'm trusting the people who've paved the way. I'm trusting the people who've been there, right? The other thing that comes with when we're thinking about resilience when it comes to people's opinions and what do we do with it, one thing that I've really realized that has transformed my whole life is what can I take as feedback and how can I leave the poison, right? And what I mean by that is even if someone says something that I don't like, it doesn't mean it doesn't have value. It could actually have so much value if I'm able to extract the poison out of it, the venom, the kind of hatred, the pain, all of that stuff, the trauma that's coming through this comment, and how can I actually learn to extract the goodness, the joy, the power, the beauty in what they're saying, because it is there. It's just that it's covered over by this venom and bitterness and trauma and everything else. So let me become a miner of the greatness in this person's feedback. How many of you have spent way too long reading negative comments on your own feed? Raise your hands. And how many of you have never read a negative comment in your life? And how many of you is that because you don't get any comments? No, I'm messing around. I'm messing around. I'm messing around. I'm joking, sorry. I had to. You tempted me too much. There were too many people saying they don't read negative comments. What's really interesting is that the human brain as we know it is wired to negativity, right? It's wired to negativity. We naturally read negative content more than any other. The New York Times did a study on the most viral topics in the world, and they found that there were only 5 themes that go viral. 5 things. And what's really interesting about this for you to know is that it wasn't that this video sat in this category, but it's this video made you feel this way. This is so important. If you feel nothing after watching a video, it doesn't matter what someone learned from it. I just want to put that out there right there. If you think about it, when you talk about art, how many times have you seen a piece of art and you're like, my 3-year-old could do that, right? That art won because it got a reaction from you. There's a lot of art that you'll see in a hotel that you will just walk past and have no opinion on it. That's bad art. Art that incites a reaction is at least doing the first thing. So knowing that you have a response, knowing that you have a feeling towards something is what makes content content. Right? How do you feel? Like when you walk out of this room, how you feel is even more important than if you remember anything I said. That's how we consume on a daily basis. So the New York Times said there's only 5 feelings that go viral. The first is adventure. If I watch someone jump out of a plane, if I watch someone skydiving, if I watch someone water skiing, if I watch someone on a jet ski, if I watch someone doing something really adventurous, that feeling is something that goes viral. The second feeling that goes viral is humor. Obvious. We've all seen a hilarious video and sent it to our WhatsApp thread, sent it to our group chat. I don't need to explain it. The third one is negativity. Negativity is one of the top 5 feelings that goes viral. We share it, we post it, we put it out there. The old statement of news, if it bleeds, it leads. If it bleeds, it leads is how news was constructed. Our brain has been hardwired to grab on to negativity. So when we read a negative comment, now you're trying to find another negative comment. Now you're trying to find another negative comment. The amount of times I've done this in my own life, I'll admit it to you, the amount of times I've been down a rabbit hole of reading negative comments. And here's an interesting thing that I learned early on in the journey, and I'm grateful for it. A lot of us will have 100 comments, and we will fixate on the 10 negative ones and ignore the 90 positive ones. What I say to all creators, whether you started or whether you've been around for a bit, is until you reply to every comment that is neutral or positive on your page, do not read a negative comment. I even had to learn this in my own career where I would meet so many wonderful people, so many of you who have kindly turned up to hear me speak today, and I don't take this for granted. I'm so grateful that all of you showed up here to hear me speak today. And people would pour their heart out to me and tell me how much my work affected them. And in my false humility and modesty, I'd just be like, no, like it's okay. And I would walk off and I wouldn't even internalize just how powerful what that person just said to me is. And I've seen this happen to so many creators where our resilience weakens because we don't receive with grace and gratitude someone's heartfelt appreciation. If someone's pouring their heart out to you, if someone's opening up to you, just telling you how much your work has helped them, let it in. Because guess what? You let that negativity in when you do the same. You'll read a negative comment and believe it to be your reality and your truth, and you will see a good comment and you'll be like, yeah, whatever, it's okay. And we'll literally just roam past it. We've got to learn to internalize positive feedback. We've got to learn to internalize. I'll give you an example that we've all experienced. If you win, you celebrate for a night. But if you lose, you cry for a month. Right? It's true, right? If you win, you'll have one party, the team party, you'll have a great time, you'll go out, whatever it is, one night it's over, next day you're back to work. If you lose, you had a bad day, bad results at the end of the year, you're crying about it for a whole month. You spent that whole month immersing in negativity instead of rejoicing in the greatness and the growth that you're experiencing. And guess what? That weakens your resilience. Because now when you're having a bad day, you've got nothing positive to pull up. Now when you're having that negative day or a tough day, you've got nothing great to pull up. You've got nothing to fall back on that goes, I know the impact I'm making, I'm gonna figure this out. I know the views are not there right now, but I know that that one person that I met in Dubai told me that when they were going through a divorce, that my book really helped them through it. Like the views made, that's the thing, right? That's the thing. That qualitative, deep, powerful, immersive feedback is huge. So that's resilience when it comes to people's opinions. I want us to dive deeper into really interacting with people. Don't just skirt past the good reviews and the good comments and go to that one person who put 1 star and their name is G73295 and that G73295 told you you're the worst person on the planet. And now you're like, can you believe it that G37295 thinks I'm the worst person on the planet? And you're telling all your friends about how you're the worst person on the planet. And it's like, but Miriam, who is from Dubai, who loves you, who told you how amazing you are, who has a name and a face, and actually has something valuable to say, you just ignore them. So I'm not telling you to buy into your own hype. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. You should take feedback, take the venom out of the feedback. But you've got to learn to appreciate, and that's a rewiring of our own minds. Now I want to get tactical and practical with you. How many of you struggle with the rate and pace of content you have to create? Raise your hands if that's a challenge, right? It's hard. How many of you are creating for multiple platforms right now? Raise your hands, right? It's like, and then every time a new platform comes out, you go, oh man, no, not another one. Not another one. I'm so glad Clubhouse died, right? I was like, thank God, just not another platform that I have to create for. Like, you know, I'm just like, it's exhausting, right? It's exhausting for each and every one of us. No matter how big your team is, no matter where you are in your journey, when another platform comes here, you go, is it gonna be real? I remember I spent a year trying to figure out whether TikTok was real. Like, I was just like, do I dive in? Do I not dive in? Do I not? You know, and it's like, we wasted time. We should have dived in earlier. But the point was that it was just, you just constantly, by the way, I'm being really honest with you because I want you to know that everything you're thinking is stuff I think about too. And what you're going through is stuff I think about too. We're all in the same boat. It doesn't change. And one thing I realized that changed my life when it came to creating content. I read this study that blew my mind. And this study said, your brain does not have the capacity to be creative and logical at the same time. So right now, if I said to you, come up with 10 new ideas for a new TikTok series, and then I interrupted you in 10 minutes, and I said, by the way, right now, can you just look at all your data analytics and just tell me how it's going? If I'm challenging you to be creative and then go to data and then switch back to creative and then switch back to data, you might do it for a bit of time, but it's literally like driving from the Palm to Dubai Mall, right? And then trying to drive back, and then trying to drive back. You're literally doing this with your brain. That's literally what you're doing. You're going, all right, I'm going to be at Dubai Mall. I'm going to be really logical. I'm going to drive to the Palm, be creative. I'm going to drive back to Dubai Mall. I'm going to drive. So you're literally doing that in your brain. And you may think you're really good at it for now. And right now you're listening to me going, Jay, your brain's weak. That doesn't happen to me. I'm fine, right? You do that every day for a year, and your brain goes, I'm exhausted. I'm stuck. Will you please stop? That's why those creators that quit after a month, it's because of that. Because after a year, it's because of that. You can't do it. You may be able to pull it off for a year. I probably pulled it off for a few years. But after that, it will say, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So what do? I encourage you to look at your content creator week and your calendar and schedule creative days and logical days. This is deep work. It's immersive. If you're having a creative day, use all your momentum to be creative. Go away, be in nature, whatever it is that you want to do, journal away, come up with ideas, whatever your process is, get deep into it. And then Tuesday, make that a logical day. That's the day where you sit down, you look at YouTube analytics, you look at your Instagram analytics, you look at all the data, you're figuring it out. But don't do this thing where we're literally running hour to hour, from meeting to meeting, from task to task, trying to figure it out. How many of you are really good at multitasking? Raise your hand. It's a lot of people. So I know some of you are lying because only 2% of the world's population can multitask. And the funny thing is, when you hear that, you think it's you. But the truth is, it's only 2%. So, it's fascinating to me how many of us spend so much of our time trying to balance these two very different brain abilities, and how we drain our brain's ability to be effective at them by trying to balance the two. The other creative idea that changed my life was the difference between effective days and efficient days. And I'll explain what I mean by that. Sometimes I have efficient days, days where I do a lot of stuff. I checked everything off. I hit all my targets. To-do list is complete. And there are some days that I have effective days. I just got one thing done, but I feel so accomplished because it was a huge thing. So I'm writing my new book right now, and I may spend an entire day just figuring out the introduction to a chapter. And that's a really effective day. And then the next day, I may record 2 podcasts, may record 10 Instagram videos, I may record 10 TikToks, whatever it may be, and that's a really effective day. The mistake is we confuse the two. You'll finish a day where you checked off all these small little things, and you'll think to yourself in bed, you'll think, oh God, I wasted today. I didn't get that one big thing done. And then there'll be another day where you get the one big thing done, and then you'll be thinking, oh God, there were like 10 little things I had to get done. And so actually saying to myself, this is an effective week. This is an efficient week. This is an effective month. This is an efficient month. When I break it down, and if you looked at my calendar, you won't be able to see it, but if I showed you my calendar, my whole life is organized to the point that my lunch, breakfast, dinner exists in my calendar, right? Every minute of the day is timed out, and I know whether a week is going to be an effective week, and I know whether a day is going to be an efficient day, and I know whether it's going to be a creative day or a logical day, because that allows me to be in flow state. How many of you have heard of flow state? Raise your hands. A few of you. Okay, some of you haven't. Great, I'll explain it. There's a brilliant book called Flow State. Highly recommend reading it. The author's name, Mihai, and then his surname's really hard to say, so I'll stick to that. But Mihai wrote this book called Flow State. It's brilliant. Highly recommend it. He says that humans experience flow state when our skills meet our challenge. If your skills and your challenge are in line, you are in flow. But here's what most of us experience, he says. Most of us, our challenge is greater than our skills. And in that situation, we feel disappointed, we feel depressed, we feel stuck, because our challenge is so big and our skills are down here. And he says that's when you got to invest in your skills. He says otherwise we experience the opposite, where your skills are above your challenge. You get bored, you're kind of a bit complacent, get a bit lazy. That's when you need to up your challenge. How many of you right now need to work on improving your skills up to your challenge? Raise your hands. Great. Write that down when you walk out of here and figure out what skill you're missing. What skill do you not yet understand? And how many of you know that you need to up your challenge? You've been lazy, complacent, slowing it down for a little bit. Great. Write that down when you walk out of here. Figure out what that next challenge is. What's going to be that next peak where you're sitting at the base of the mountain and you're going, all right, I'm excited to get back up there again. I'm excited on what to do. Because by the way, watching the view from the top gets boring after a while, right? We have to go for that next challenge. I want to share one last thing with you before I go. And this comes down to probably the biggest challenge that I think comes to a creator's resilience. And it's this. Your views don't define your self-worth. Your views and followers don't define your self-worth. Say it with me. My views don't define my self-worth. I want you to say that to yourself every day. Actually, I want you to say that to yourself every day. That's all I have to say, right? Like, because here's the thing. My private life is better than my public life. My public life looks great, but I promise you my private life's better. And that is a creator's greatness. A real creator who's going to outlast and be timeless forever is going to be someone who has a better private life than has a public life. If your public life is better than your private life, I promise you, you may have followers, you may have success, you may have money, but you will be sad. Because then life becomes a performance and life doesn't become being who you are. Life becomes living in the outer world and not in the inner world. And actually, it keeps you going when you have a better private life, because now you put that all into your public life, and now your public life is alive. I want you to make a promise to me that you're going to make sure that your private life is better than your public life. I promise you that will make you so resilient because you know you'll have something, whether you have the thing or you don't have the thing or whatever the ups and downs, whatever you're going through, your private life is your life that you're always going to have, right? That you're always, always, always going to have. When the security started approaching, I thought, oh God, I've said something controversial. I said something controversial now. But no, guys, just get followers. You'll be happy, right? Followers. Got it. Okay, awesome. We're on the same page. Thank you, guys. You're the best. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Love you. Thanks, guys.